and welcome to another lawnfawn video. Today we are so excited to be introducing our brand new die set, Build-A-Critter Spring Accessories. This die set is a perfect match for both our Build-A-Bunny and a Build-A-Fox, and now we have these super cute spring costumes, including a flower costume, an egg costume, and a chicken costume. This goes along with our previous ones where we have our Build-A-Bunny accessories, our Halloween costumes, Valentine's, winter, Christmas. We have so many cute things, and now we have some great spring ones too. We're also going to take a look at the stitched scallop oval stackables. I love these ovals so much. They have the gorgeous stitch detail and a scalloped edge. We have them in 4 different sizes in the set, and they're a great way to make an oval shaped card or to create a place to put your cute scenes, or even that smaller oval is perfect for a sentiment. And I wanted to show you how these layer on a standard size card. So that white card piece there is 5.5 by 4.25. This is the largest one. Then here we have the second largest, and then we have the third largest, and then the smallest. And it's always kind of nice to see that comparison to a standard size card. The other really cool thing is that the original small stitched ovals fit in these scalloped ovals, which I think is awesome. So you can mix and match these in such a cute way to create kind of the look of a scalloped oval frame. I really like how the 2 stitching lines also line up with each other. I think it looks so pretty and so delicate. Next, we're going to take a look at the Build-A-Critter Spring Accessories. There's this cute little chicken outfit, and it's got a little beak, some fun wings, and the feet as well. We also have this cute little egg outfit, and the 2 different parts of the egg you can layer onto your critters, and this little flower outfit too, which is so sweet. So let's take a look and see how to put these all together. So first up, we're going to work on this adorable little chicken. And those little black licorice cardstock pieces there, those ones there are what layer behind the eyes. So you can just put some adhesive on the back, and then you can just layer those 2 little pieces right there, and that will add the detail onto the eyes of the chicken costume. Then here you'll see there's a little embossed line there, a little triangle. That's exactly where you're going to put the beak. So you'll see that part of the beak is on the costume, and the other part is going to kind of hang over into the critter's face. And then we can add this extra little detail there on top. Look at this little chicken. It makes me smile so much. It's just so cute and so sweet. And so here we're going to take our Build-A-Bunny here. We've already built the bunny so that we can just layer the costume on. And that's all you need to do is just layer it right onto the bunny. And then you can add the wings and the feet. And so the wings kind of layer in front. Of course, you could layer them in different directions so he looked like he was kind of flapping his wings too. And then you've got these cute little feet that you can layer right over the bunny or the fox's feet to create the cutest little spring chick costume. Next, we're going to work on the egg costume, and this one's really easy. You just layer the base of the egg onto the body of the critter, and then you can layer the top right on top of the little bunny. And isn't that just too cute? Then now we're going to work on the little flower costume, and there's this little frame that you can put around the center of the costume, which I think looks so cute, especially in either a tone-on-tone look or a contrasting color too. And then there's these little leaves that you can layer onto this base piece, and that whole base is going to cover the body of the critter there, just like this. So it looks like he's wearing one of those cute little flower costumes, and then this detail is going to go around the fox's face. And look at that. Is that not just the most adorable thing? They're the cutest little spring critters ever. It just makes me smile. It's just adorable. And of course, all of these costumes are interchangeable. And so we're going to show you how to do that here. And so here you can see how you can layer the little flower costume right onto the bunny, both the little flower crown there and also the little leafy piece. And then of course the little egg costume can go onto the fox. And then the fox can also become the chicken too. And so we're just going to take his little paws off there because the little wings are kind of like the paws in this costume. And then you can add the little feet right over his. And you can either keep the fox's tail on with the costume, which is really cute, or you can take it off too. Either one looks absolutely adorable. And then here you can see we kind of switch the costumes all around again. These just make me smile so much. And right now we are going to work with that cute little fox in the flower costume. And so he looks really fun cut out of all of these different colors of cardstock, but we wanted to add a little extra detail here. And so we're just going to be taking a light purple marker and just adding a little bit of detail onto the petals. And this is a fun way to just add a little bit something extra onto your plain colors of cardstock. And then we're going to do the same thing on the costume here. So we're just going to add a green that's about the same color of the cardstock, and then just add a little bit of detail towards the bottom. And you can see as the marker starts to dry, it just blends into the cardstock and looks so pretty. And then we're just going to take our white gel pen and add a little bit of detail onto the petals here, little lines and dots, and I think this just makes everything pop and look so cute and fun. We're also going to go ahead and add some lines around that little detail on the flower costume and onto the little fox's head and his nose, and I just feel like this brings the whole costume to life and looks just so super cute. And then last but not least, we need some rosy cheeks. So we're just going to take a bright pink marker and then just blend it out with the colorless blender to create cute little rosy cheeks. And then we'll add a little dot of white gel pen in each cheek, and this is just adorable. Now next up, we're going to take out some new Blissful Blossoms paper, and we're going to die cut that with the largest of the large stitch rectangles, which will be a 5.5 by quarter inch rectangle. And we've die cut this beautiful paper here. And then we're going to use one of those brand new stitch scalloped ovals. We're going to use the second biggest one, and we're going to die cut that from some white cardstock. Now we are going to be using these small stitched ovals to layer onto this scalloped oval here. And so we're going to pick the one that lines up with this oval, and then we're going to go ahead and die cut some more paper. So this is some more Blissful Blossoms paper, the really pretty blue floral, and also the green vines. Then on that green piece, we are going to be using a Grassy border die, and we're just going to die cut that to create a ground for our cute little flower fox. Now that we have these pieces cut, we can start to layer them together. So we're going to add some adhesive onto the back of the grass piece and then layer that onto the oval base. And then we can take this whole oval and layer it onto the scallop frame. And I think this looks so pretty, especially with those double stitching lines. It's just perfect. I just love it. And so now that we have this all done, we can start to put this whole card together. So we're going to add our cute little costumed fox here with some adhesive right onto that oval. And I love that this oval becomes like the cutest little frame for him. Isn't that just adorable? And then we can take this whole piece here and we're going to add some foam squares on the back so that we can layer it on to that pattern paper with a nice pop. For the sentiment, we're going to be working with a fancy folded banner, and these are so much fun. So we're going to die cut that out of some white cardstock, and then we're going to do our stamping before we fold it. And so we're going to be using the brand new Henry's Built a Sentiment butterfly, and I love this because all of the phrases are separate. It actually makes it really easy to curve them on the shape of the curve of this banner. So we're just going to put our block over the banner and then just curve the stamps matching the curve of that die cut piece. And I think the Henry's makes it so easy to match these curves of these different banners. Then we can go ahead and ink it up in some black licorice ink, and then we're going to stamp right onto the banner. And these fancy folded banners are so much fun because the little folds give them this really great dimension. And so you're going to fold back on the innermost fold and then fold towards yourself on the outer fold. So we'll repeat that here. We're going to fold back on the innermost fold, and then we're going to fold towards ourselves on the other fold, creating kind of a Z shape. And now you can see that beautiful folded banner right there. Isn't that gorgeous? Now to hold it down, we're going to be using some adhesive and some foam squares too. And so we're going to add a little bit of adhesive right in the fold just to help hold that in place. And then we can add some foam squares to the back of this to help pop it up onto the card. And then we can layer it right at the bottom of the oval. And isn't that so cute? I love how it layers over the oval. It's such a sweet card, just a fun, happy spring card to make someone's day. Now next up, Shari is going to make the cutest little chicken card, also using the Stamp and Stencil Easter eggs too. So take it away, Shari.
For my card today, I'm going to start out by creating some Easter eggs with the new Stamp and Stencil Easter egg set. I've already stamped out the sentiment in this set and colored it in. I've also stamped out a little speech bubble with that sentiment that says you're extra special. But now I need to create my Easter eggs. And this set, of course, you have a plain egg that you can stamp and then use the stencil to color it in. But I am going to be making my Easter eggs today without using the stamp. So I am making a rainbow of Easter eggs, and I'm doing tone on tone stenciling. So I'm going in lightly to color in my solid egg. And then I'm going to move over to one of the details and take that same ink, this is Wild Rose ink, and put a second layer to add the decoration. And I am going to clean off my stencil between every color so that I don't contaminate my colors, because I'm going to repeat this process for all 6 eggs. So for every egg, I'm going to do the solid color. Then I'm going to shift my stencil over and do the decoration with the same ink. But since I have 2 layers and a slightly heavier hand of ink, I'm going to get that really fun tone-on-tone look. So I'm going to speed this up so that you can see how I did all 6 of these Easter eggs. So I did a pink, the yellow is sunflower, the green here is celery stick. Then I'm going to do an aqua colored one, and this is merman ink. And you can see I'm tapping it off on my desk when I do the solid egg, just so that I make sure I have a lighter application of ink. Then I will do a blue egg with forget-me-not. And this one actually might be my favorite with these flowers that I'm going to put on this one. I just think that's a really pretty design on that egg. And then finally, we have a purple egg using grape jelly. And now that I have all of my Easter eggs created here, I can use the die that cuts out the stamp and cut them out, and I have these really fun no-line Easter eggs. So I'm using the die that coordinates with the Happy Easter. Of course, I will use the die for my speech bubble, and then I'm lining up that single Easter egg to cut these out. You can see they're exactly the look that I get by doing this technique. So here are all my eggs already cut out. I'm just going to set all of these aside, and we're going to work on our character for this card. And our character for this card is Build a Bunny, and we are going to dress him up like a chicken with the new Build a Critter spring accessories. I think these are so cute. It makes me smile every time I make one of these critters into a chicken. So we need to start by putting our Build a Bunny together, and I cut my bunny from some dolphin cardstock. Really for this, you only need the head and the body. So for the head, I'm layering behind the color that fills in the ears, then the eyes, and then the nose. And then I can flip this over, and my bunny's face is all filled in. I did cut the little rosy cheeks from some Ballet Slippers cardstock, so I'm going to add those as well. I just think these make it look even cuter. And then we can add the body. So I'm just putting some glue above that score line that the die creates, and we can add the head. And this is all we need to do for this bunny because the arms are kind of incorporated into the chicken costume. So moving on to the little chicken costume, I'm flipping it over and I'm going to fill in the eyes with those 2 black pieces you see there. They're kind of shaped really funny, but you can see how they fit right behind those eyes that are cut out of the suit. Then I'm flipping it back over. There is a little score line that you might not be able to see here on camera, but it shows you exactly where to put the little beak. And I cut this from some pumpkin cardstock, so it's a little bit darker. Then we want to add that bright red comb on top of the chicken's head. I cut this from tomato cardstock, so it's that bright, bright red. And there, of course, are the little feet too. I'm going to go ahead and add those to my bunny before I put the costume on because I remembered that I wanted to do a little ink blending on the yellow cardstock of the chicken costume. So let me set him aside. I think this is really funny. He looks like a duck with those feet on. It's just cracks me up. I'm using some number 2 pencil ink and a blending brush, and I'm just going to add some shading to my sunflower cardstock just so that my chicken has some little shadows going on. And I needed to pull out my grip mat to hold these little wings while I add some ink to those as well. And now I'm ready to dress up this cute bunny as a chicken. So I will just add liquid glue all over the back and pop this right on there so that that bunny's face looks through that opening. The bottom of the chicken suit lines up with the bottom of the body of the rabbit and right above those legs. Then I can add my wings. For this one, I'm adding them on the front of the body, but you could also tuck them behind depending on the look that you wanted for your chicken outfit. Finally, I added some little white lines to look like feathers with my white pen along the wings, underneath the head, and where all those feather lines are on the body of the chicken. And I just think that this is so cute. I'm going to add a few more white details to the feet and the top of the head. And just look how adorable he is. Oh, he's so cute. So let me set him aside and we're ready to work on the background of the card. I'm using a piece of kraft cardstock to cover my card base so that I have a kraft border around this panel. This is cut from some of the Blissful Blossoms 12 by 12 paper. I think this is a beautiful yellow and I like those little leaf details. Before I put my oval on, which is going to be kind of my focal point, I'm wrapping some twine around. This is some coral twine. I wrapped it around 3 times and I'm going to tie it in a bow over here on the left side so that this peeks out right on the side of the oval that I'm going to add to the card front. I'll just trim off the excess tails. Then I'm going to bring in my die cut stitched scalloped oval. And this is cut from some spiffy speckles paper. I'm laying it face down so that I can add some foam strips and avoid where that twine is. So I'll just create a channel on the back between those foam strips where the twine will go. Now I can pull off that liner paper and I'll flip this over and that twine will go right between those 2 pieces of foam tape. Next, I'm going to add a stitched sentiment banner cut from mermaid cardstock, and I just have this laying here so I know where to put my foam squares. I want to avoid the center because it's going to overlap that oval, and that oval is already popped up. And of course, I'm using a die cut sentiment for this card, so we will add the sentiment here in just a little bit. Next, I'm going to grab all of my Easter eggs and arrange them the way I want them. Once I have them the way I want, I will pick each one of them up and add them to my card with some glue. So I'll use liquid glue to glue these that are right on that oval. But these over here on the sides, I'm going to add one little foam square to support the part of the egg that is not on that oval. And I love these tucked behind that sentiment banner. I think that's really fun. I've also added foam squares all over the back of my chicken bunny or bunny chicken, and I'm going to pop him right in the middle here, sitting on top of all of those eggs. Now I'm adding my little speech bubble that I stamped earlier. It's going to kind of come off the side of that stitch scalloped oval at the top, which I think is really fun. And then we need our Happy Easter. So this again was from the Stamp and Stencil Easter egg set. I colored it, cut it out with a coordinating die, and now I'm using some thin foam strips to pop this up on that sentiment banner. I actually like that this cuts them in 2 separate words, so you could put them side by side like I'm doing here, or you could stack them one on top of the other. And then of course we need our glitter. I'm glittering that whole sentiment. Then I'm going to take this glitter and just add some glitter to some of the details of the eggs. So like the dots or some of the stripes. I'm not doing the whole design, just some glittery accents on each of the eggs. Even the one with just polka dots, I only did a few of the polka dots. And then here is this finished card with the cute little bunny dressed as a chicken, which I just love so much, sitting on top of all those fun stenciled Easter eggs.
This card just makes me smile, Shari. It is too cute. And now that we've dressed up a bunny in a cute chicken costume, we are going to be dressing up a bunny in a flower costume. And so here I've gone ahead and die cut my Build-A-Bunny pieces out of some white cardstock. And to add some color to these pieces, we're going to be doing some ink blending. And I'm using sugar cookie ink and pizza crust ink to add the details onto these pieces. So I'm covering the whole thing in the sugar cookie ink and then just adding the pizza crust ink to the outside edges just to give it kind of a little shading. And I think this kind of looks like one of those velveteen rabbit kind of look. I think it's really, really pretty. And I just think it's just looking so much fun. And this is a fun way to add color to your die cuts. And so we're going to be doing this with all of the pieces because right now I am recreating a card by Grace. And she had both a sitting and a standing bunny all dressed up. And I thought that was so cute. And so that's what we're going to be doing here. Once I've added some inking to all of these different little bunny pieces, I just love that little bunny face, it's so cute, we can add some inking to some of the other detail pieces. So there's the pieces that layer behind the bunny to add the color to the ears and the nose and the mouth and also the little feet too. And so we're going to be adding some bubblegum ink to the ears and the little kind of oval type pieces that go behind the bunny's little paws, which are so super cute. And then for the pieces that layer behind the eyes and the nose, I'm just going to use a marker to scribble over them. So I've got a black marker and then a pink marker that I'm going to add for the circles. They're going to be behind the nose, and the other little piece is going to be behind the eyes. Now here I have the costumes for the little flower outfit. And so I'm adding some celery stick ink on to the flower pieces and also that little base piece too. And then I'm going to bring in some artichoke ink to add a little bit more of that kind of olive green kind of look. And I think these two inks look so pretty together. It just kind of makes the whole thing glow and really brings it to life. And so that you'll see we're just adding along the bottom for just a little bit of shading. Then for these cute little flowers, we're going to do 2 shades of purple. So this one here is some grape soda ink, which is more of like a pinkier purple. And then for the other flower, we're going to be doing some grape jelly for a bluier purple. For the little frames that add the detail to the flower costume, I'm just going to use a yellow marker on these just to give them kind of a bright yellow look for a nice contrasting color onto those purple flowers, like as if it's the yellow flower center. And then I'm actually going to cover these in some stickles here. I'm channeling my inner Shari and I'm going to add some beautiful stickles onto these. And then I'm just going to put these pieces aside to let them dry as I start to put together our bunnies. I'm going to flip one of the bunny faces over and just add some liquid glue all behind the ears and around the face, and then we're going to layer the pieces on the back. And this is really easy because it lines up right on the back, and you'll see there's a little curve at the bottom part of the ears. You can just line up the eye piece right against the curve, and then the circle piece right in that little opening there. So it makes it really easy to line up, and you'll know you have a cute, perfect little bunny face all done every time. And so we're going to repeat that with the other bunny face there. And you can see I've just taken a clear block and put it on top of the bunny's face that I already decorated to help hold those pieces down while the glue dries. And so just like we did before, now we're adding the decorative eye piece, and then we're going to add the little decorative nose piece. And I love that the Build-A-Bunny set has 2 different styles of faces. It looks really cute when you put 2 bunnies on one card. Now these are the little feet that you can add to the sitting bunny, and so we're just going to layer those little pink details behind the feet. I just love those so much. And then this is the little belly, so we're going to layer the belly onto this sitting guy, and then we're just going to trim off these little feet because we're going to have him sitting with his feet out. So we're just going to trim those off, and then we can start to layer the feet on. So I'm going to add some liquid glue and then just add those. You can see I've got the front paws on there just for guidance to see where I need to put these little guys right on to the belly. Isn't that cute? Oh my gosh. And then now we can layer the front paws right on top. And you'll see that there's a little embossed line there, and that's going to give us guidance as to where to put the bunny's head. But before we do that, we're going to decorate the bunny's head here. So for this bunny, we're actually not going to use the body of the costume. We're just going to be using the cute little head decoration. And so we're going to trim apart these leaves and then add some adhesive to the back here so we can layer the leaves up by the face. And so this is a really cute way to use the costume, and just a little bit of a different way, and it matches with the sitting bunny really, really well. So we're going to layer those on, and then we can go ahead and layer the bunny's head right onto the body. Then we're going to work with the standing bunny, and on the standing bunny we're going to put the base of the flower costume on. So we're just going to layer this base piece, and you'll see that it fits perfectly right onto the bunny's body there, and then we can layer the little leaf detail at the bottom. Isn't that so cute? It's so fun. And then we're going to go ahead and add the flower costume to the bunny's face, and then we can layer the bunny's head onto the body, and then we can also layer the arms onto the bunny too. Next, we're going to add some cute rosy cheeks, and I'm doing this with an R30 marker, and then I'm taking an R00 marker, so a really, really light pink, and just blending out around the edges of those little rosy cheeks. And look how cute they look. There is something about the rosy cheeks that just makes it for me. And so then we're going to take our white gel pen and just add some cute white gel pen details, little lines, little curved lines, little dots, etc. around all of the petals. And I just love doing this. I think it just makes all of the details on these cute little costumes pop. Next, we're going to take out those stitch scallop ovals to create a cute place for these bunnies to hang out. So we're going to be die cutting the largest one, and we're actually going to make it into a frame by using a stitched oval stackable and layering that right in there. So we're going to layer it right onto the scalloped one, and then we're just going to go ahead and run that through the die cut machine. And now we're going to have a plain oval and then a scalloped oval that has this cool frame look to it. Then we're going to take a stitched hillside border. This is a simple stitched hillside border, and line that up with that oval. And now we're going to have this cute little grassy piece, and we're going to add some color to this with the same inking that we did for the flower costume. So this is some celery stick ink and then some artichoke ink just to help darken it up. And by using the same inks, it's going to make everything really coordinate and look nicely together. Then we're going to be adding some splatters onto this. I'm going to smear some of that artichoke ink onto my surface. I'm going to spray some water in there to create a paint, and then we can pick it up with the paintbrush and just tap the paintbrush to create splatters. And this is going to give it some nice texture so that it kind of looks like grass. Then we use that same stitched oval die to die cut some of the Blissful Blossoms paper. This is the 12 by 12 paper, and so that way it's going to fit perfectly inside that opening because it's the same die that we used to cut that frame. And then here we have our largest of the stitched rectangle stackables, and I die cut some of that same Blissful Blossoms paper, the B side of it. So these are going to coordinate together really, really nicely. Then here we have a standard size card base that's 5.5 by 4.25. We can add some adhesive to that and then layer our stitched rectangle on top of that. Then I wanted things to have a nice pop, so we're going to be adding some foam strips around the oval. And what I really like about these foam strips is if you peel off the top backing like this, it's really easy to curve. So it's perfect for ovals and circles and anything rounded. And so we're just going to curve these little foam strips all of the way around this frame so that we can give it a nice pop. And then we can take this whole piece and pop it up right onto the frame. Then we're going to take the oval that's cut from the other side of that Blissful Blossoms paper, and we're going to add some adhesive to that so that we can layer it at the bottom. That way the frame is popped, but this is kind of in the background to give that fun shadow box kind of feel. And then we're going to take our little grassy piece that we inked earlier and add some foam squares to that and then layer that into the oval too. Next, I'm going to add some foam squares to the top parts of the bunny and then just some tape runner at the bottom since they're going to layer over that grass that's popped up. And then I'm going to layer it so that they kind of look like they're leaning in towards each other, like they were taking a photo. I think it looks really cute. And then we're just going to layer that right into that grassy scene. Then those little frames that we added the glitter to were finally dry, and so I'm going to add some liquid glue to those and then just layer it right on to the bunny's costume. And I love the contrasting look of that beautiful glittery little frame. Next, we need a sentiment, so we're going to die cut some Sugarplum Cardstock here with a wavy banner die, and then we're going to be doing some heat embossing here, and we're going to be using the new Henry's Build a Sentiment butterflies, and so we're going to curve these sentiments to match the curve of this banner. And so we're going to add the ellipses there, and then we can go ahead and add the rest of the sentiment. Then we can prep this cardstock piece with an anti-static powder tool, and then we're going to ink up this sentiment in some clear embossing ink, which is a nice sticky ink. We'll stamp that onto the banner, and then we can sprinkle on some white heat embossing powder and tap off any of the excess. Then we can take our heat gun and heat this thing up so that we can melt that powder and have that beautiful bright white shiny sentiment. And then we can take some adhesive and layer that onto this banner and then add that to the bottom of the scene. And I think this is just so cute. I love these bunnies dressed up. It just makes me smile. And that glitter makes them feel so special. And I love all of the different shades of purple. And next up, Shari is going to show us how to turn that adorable little Build-A-Fox into a chicken. So take it away, Shari.
So I have pieces cut here for the Build a Fox and also the spring accessories for the Build a Critter, and we're going to make our cute little fox into a chicken. I also have the flowers cut from the Build a Wheelbarrow die set, so you can see that there are the little sprig and the flowers at the bottom, and we're going to create a cute little scene with this fox today. So first I need to build my fox, and I am going to start with the face, putting that black piece of paper behind the eyes to fill them in, and then I will layer it over the full face so we get that two-toned face. I'm using some pumpkin cardstock today and some dolphin cardstock. Next, I can add the head to the body. And I don't need to worry about any arms because those are incorporated in the chicken costume. For this chicken costume today, I'm going with white and I'm pulling out a pale gray here. This is an N1 Copic, and I'm just adding some little feather details underneath. This gives a little bit of shading. I think it makes those feather lines that the dye creates kind of stand out a little bit more. I'll add some little flecks of that gray to each of the wings as well. And I just think this gives it a nice texture to look like feathers. Next, I'm going to add the little beak, which is cut from sunflower cardstock, and the comb on top, which is cut from tomato. Then I will flip this over and fill in the eyes with some black cardstock. In the end, I actually am going to cover these up with some googly eyes, but I wanted to show you what it looks like to fill in those eyes just with cardstock. And then I can add my chicken outfit to my fox. And when I do this, it reminds me of Toy Story and Al's Toy Barn when he's wearing the chicken costume. I mean, doesn't it? So for the little feet, I also use some sunflower cardstock. And then for his little wings, I am putting a dot of glue on the end and I'm tucking them behind. I'm making them go straight out because I want it to look like he's ready to give you a hug. And of course, our little fox has a tail, so I'm adding the little tip to the tail, and I'll just tuck that behind as well. And I just think that's really cute, especially because the chicken outfit really covers up his ears, so I think the tail really helps him look like a fox. Then I'm layering my flowers onto the little stem from the Build a Wheelbarrow die set. I have the solid flowers and then the ones with the center cut out. And then here is my googly eyes. So I just poured a bunch out so I could figure out the right size. And I decided to go with the bigger ones, although that next size down looked really cute too. So I'm going to pull out 2 of those and clean up all my eyes. And then I will just glue those down with a little bit of liquid glue. And this gives this chicken such a fun look. How cute is that? And this is an idea from Audrey. She did this on her card and it was just so adorable. Now I have the largest of the stitch scalloped oval stackables, and I'm going to do some ink blending on this. I am going to put this in the landscape orientation and pull out my cloudy stencil. And I am using Forget Me Not ink to create my cloudy sky. So I'll do my clouds at the top, pull up that stencil, turn it to a different side, shift it down a little bit, and do the next row of clouds. And we're going to get this really fun puffy cloud sky on this white oval. And then once I got down here to the bottom, I was about to do some more and realized, no, I actually need to do some grass. I need some ground for my little chicken to stand on here. So I've pulled out my grass stencil and I'm just going to add some grass at the bottom using some freshly cut grass ink. And the great thing about this stencil is the top is the mask. So I'll pull this up and shift it down, and then this will mask off my grass while I finish off the blue of my sky. And I don't even need my cloudy stencil for this last little layer of blue ink. And now I have this stenciled background on the oval. I am adding a little bit of white paint splatter just for some fun texture on that background. And then I will set this aside to dry. And while that's drying, I'm going to work on the rest of my card. So I have a piece of the Blissful Blossoms 12 by 12 paper. This is that fun pink color. I love that vine detail in the background. And I just cut this to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I am going to put this onto my card base. I was making sure that I wanted the bright pink side instead of the flower side. Both are very pretty. So I'm just adding this to my card base. So now I have a pink card base. And then I'm actually going to do something a little different with the oval. So my oval is landscape, but my card is portrait. And I am going to put this on here. And then we're going to trim off the edges. And I just think this is a really fun look and kind of a way to stretch what you can do with your shapes by turning them like this and trimming them off, making them go off the side of the card. Kind of gives the look like you're looking out a window or something like that. So here's our little chicken. We're going to add him in a minute, but first I want to stamp out my sentiment. And I'm using the sentiment from All the Garden Hats that says Sending You Sunshine. I'm stamping this onto some sticky note paper, and I'm going to cut this out with a sentiment banner, but I only care about the center, so it's okay that it's not going to cut a full banner. Then I'm also going to cut that small banner out of the same cardstock, and I'm going to kind of make a custom little folded banner. So we'll trim this off to be the size of our sentiment. So now we have just a rectangular piece with our sentiment. Then I'm going to take this smaller banner and cut it in 2 pieces. And these are going to layer behind this rectangular piece and come out both sides. So it's almost like a custom length banner. We're just going to kind of fake it. So I'll start by putting some foam squares on each end of the little banners. Then I'll line this up so it's nice and straight. My grid mat really helps. And I'll just pick up those foam squares with that rectangular sentiment banner, making sure that they're straight and the same length on each side. And now this will go right onto that card. I can add a foam square in the center where I don't have that little banner, and then I'll just add glue on the other 2 pieces. And this is going to go right on the bottom of our oval. And then for our chicken, I'm adding foam squares all over him because I want him popped up off of that stenciled background. Then I need to add his little bouquet of flowers, and I added some little foam squares to that so I could pop that up as well. I'll just use a little bit of glue on the stem so it sticks to the wing here. And then finally, here are all my hearts that I keep in my drawer, and I'm picking out colors. I picked out raspberry hearts and guava hearts, and when I put them on there, I decided I liked the raspberry cardstock hearts, the darker pink, better. So I've just arranged them where I want them to be. Then I'm going to go through and pick them up, put a little dot of glue, and drop them back into place. And I'm just kind of still deciding, do I want one down here at the bottom? I decided not to. I decided to keep them all above that sentiment banner. Now I'm adding my glitter to the flowers, and I'm also adding glitter to the hearts. And then here is my finished card with that cute little fox dressed like a chicken. We have that oval turned on its side, which is a fun little detail. And of course, those fun googly eyes, thanks to Audrey.
I love those googly eyes so much. It is so cute. And next up, we have some incredible cards by the design team. And this one here by Elena is so sweet. I love that she cut the costume out of the yellow floral paper. Isn't that so fun? These oval-shaped cards by Elise are just adorable. I think they're so much fun, and the butterflies just make me smile. Here is this card by Audrey that used the googly eyes on the chicken. Isn't that so much fun? I love that she used the scalloped oval as a little window, too. And then here's the card by Grace that inspired me to make mine today. I just love these cute little bunnies. Here, Megan used the brand new scalloped ovals to create a beautiful place to put the brand new Build a Wheelbarrow. I love it with the pumpkins in it. This card here by Maureen is so cute. I love the little bunny dressed as the egg with the little chickens. Isn't that so much fun? This card by Letitia is just adorable. I love the idea of making an oval-shaped card, and I can't wait to try it too. And then here, this card by Maureen is so much fun. I love her colors and how she dressed up that cute little bunny with heart-shaped cheeks. This card here by Melissa is so much fun. Again, she framed her oval with a beautiful scallop frame, and I love that floral sprig border in the background. And then here, I love how Grace layered all of the ovals together to create this beautiful pastel rainbow. It's just stunning with the butterflies. So we cannot wait to see all of your cute spring costume cards and your fun oval cards too. So make sure to share them with us. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!